As the sun sets at the end of a New York workday, the mind transitions from daily tasks to the cloudier, more philosophical regions of social issues, culture, and politics. In a democracy, every perspective on the world is important, and people in art and culture have surprising bodies of knowledge that can shed fresh light on today's reality. The following conversation with A.K. Burns took place in Stone Ridge, New York on April 26, 2021.
A.K. Burns is a multimedia artist whose work questions systems of value. Through performance, video, installation, and collaboration, she examines the fundamental ways in which people's lives are directed and controlled by physical, social, and political norms. Her epic video cycle, Negative Space, is a sci-fi fantasy of personal and political liberation. I was thinking of Brown Bear Hair Salon.
Oh my God.
So I thought maybe you could tell me about that.
That project?
Yes.
Like dialing back in time. It was a project at Recess in 2010, I think, and it was that I did with my partner, now wife, Catherine Hubbard. I'm trying to remember like the genesis of it. I think we had taken a road trip cross country potentially at some point. In that process, being in San Francisco and LA, we were going to LGBTQ archives. I'd also been spending a lot of time in the Herstory archives in Brooklyn. So there was that, like kind of just the initially unfocused interest in searching for a context.
So how does it result in like free haircuts?
Free haircuts, yeah. So, and then the other thing was happening is weirdly, the project kind of stems out of something that was happening when we were in grad school, actually up here at Bard. I had spent most of my life giving haircuts, and we both started giving haircuts. Then we started cutting hair in tandem. I don't know, haircutting became a real ritual. But if I'm going to make a broader statement about my work, there is some like exploration of ontology. Like how is being formed and how is it valued, addressed or recognized, or how does it take shape in the world, you know? Then we started thinking about the salon and the art salon and Gertrude Stein and the, archive.
Like a conversation salon kind of place, yeah.
Yeah, so the Brown Bear just came out of a confluence of, I think, lived activities and interests that we started to cultivate this space that was going to be kind of operating as an archive, operating as a salon where we invited artists every week to come in and perform and engage in activities that weren't focused on sight, on looking, like, of the other senses.
Wasn't there something about like you couldn't choose the style of haircut
you could choose the style, but we wouldn't look at images and you didn't have a mirror.
There was no mirror, yeah.
Right, and you had to let us cut your hair in tandem.
A forehand haircut.
So it was also this kind of how do you talk about image?
In looking at all the different projects you've done, the one keyword that stood out, you've used already, value. Maybe we talk about wage first. You did this sort of speech at Creative Time.
I think it's this question of when an artist makes their work to make has to make a certain amount of work to make a living, has to produce at a certain level. And the cost of living is such that you have to, maybe not mass produce, but I'm going to use that term because I do think we're kind of, it pushes on that threshold of
the studio with the assistants and the more volume.
The studio as a site of production instead of the studio as a site of process. The idea that there's a value in art as a process and as a kind of lived experience, as a kind of work that someone does in the world that may or may not even result in anything that's sellable, but that has somehow a fundamental value for our culture, or that we must agree upon that somehow to continue to, I think, even support or want art to exist.
I mean, in some ways, I think the path you've gone down is one of more institutional, you teach, you have fellowships, you just got a Guggenheim, congratulations.
Thank you.
And you had the Radcliffe Fellowship some years ago. But, you have the support of institutions which leads to a certain kind of work versus, the gallery.
It's interesting to end up in that place because I don't ever think I thought of myself becoming a gallery artist, but I don't think I'd have ever fathomed myself to be a like fellowship type of person.
Right.
I was like, I'm kind of scrapping around. Who knows if they'll take it seriously? Like when I got the Radcliffe, I was like, do they know who they're inviting? It don't really make sense there.
Right. Yeah. But the university is still a place that multiplicity of voices and,
Yeah,
thinkers.
I mean, that's the thing that I have come to terms with being a teacher, and one, finding ways that as a teacher it supports your practice. I make it somehow embedded with my own practice to a
Sure.
certain degree, but also because I think teaching is better when you're teaching from a place that you like really, the work and the things you care about, right? And then, yeah, it's like I have never had a regular job. Like since I left undergrad, I have always been a freelance, like scrap together kind of person. So having a regular paycheck is a very alien and new experience. It also, I feel like I can make decisions in my practice differently. Like I don't have to do something if I don't want to. And it's those things that I'm like thankful in terms of the institutional structures.
Explain to me what you teach then. I mean, I think
What I
your
teach.
title is interesting because it's in art history, not studio per se.
The department is the art and art history department.
Right,
So as an umbrella department, it
Mm-hmm.
holds both the art department and the art history.
Yeah, why not?
I am in the art branch of that, and I'm the area head for new genres, basically, everything that's not painting, sculpture, and photography or something.
It seems like everything's kind of blending now.
Yeah, it's one of these things like it only sort of matters at an undergrad level because we try to teach like, performance, video, conceptual practices, things that the students aren't getting in their other sort of photo, sculpture.
Technical skills,
Technical
history
skills.
of, yeah.
Yeah, and at a grad level, we do grad seminars, and I have one that I've taught for years called Somatic Turf, which it kind of examines critically, politically, socially the body, and like it kind of interrogates it from a lot of spaces, everything from like athletics to forms of spirituality to race, sex, gender, etc.
That takes place in many contexts. I mean, I think a lot of your work seems like it's also about landscape, strangely enough, or the body in landscape, and but not in, maybe the typical ways one thinks of it. Like the film series you've done, Negative Space. I mean, one of those is in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how do I talk about it succinctly?
Yeah.
I stumbled upon / I already had an experience with this growing up in California, but public lands or the Bureau of Land Management, so it's like, and that idea of public lands or spaces that were not privatized, or there's no clear boundaries for a lot of the public lands. There's not like a fence you enter and then you're in public lands.
Right.
And I just hadn't really been in a space where, like what it feels like to have a body in a space where you don't know where the boundaries and borders are, which is also in high contrast to living in a city where everything is built in relation to bodies and to facilitate bodies. And I think as I was kind of at the beginning of knowing I wanted to do a science fiction project based, like kind of interrogating the trope of science fiction in cinema. I didn't know what I was exploring exactly. I just knew that I wanted to understand that genre.
What you're leading to, I think, though, is a psychological sense of being lost or sort of, having no coordinates or something like that.
Yeah.
Which can be liberating, perhaps, or if you think of it the right way.
Well, I mean, this kind of gets back to the beginning when I was talking about being or ontology and value, right? Which is like, how do we form politically, socially, and otherwise from a space where property and boundaries aren't the defining characteristic of our relationship to space, right? That seemed like a kind of utopic space that I wanted to kind of interrogate, and in particular from like a kind of queer embodied position, right? Which is like where I think territories and definitions and how we define things are constantly a kind of oppression that the body pushes up against, right?
Right.
So I was like, oh, if we were going to readdress some of this, we have to rethink our relationship to space and to matter, and like get to something very fundamental.
One of the best films that I discovered today when I was watching films was Survivor's Remorse. And it surprised me because it has a little bit of a different tone. How did you come to make that film?
Well, it came out of a commission from the Harvard Art Museum. They were doing a show that involved photographic works of David Wojnarowicz. And I guess they pegged me for being a kindred spirit with David. You know, a grid of
The spirit of David Wojnarowicz.
yeah, he's here with us. The grid of monitors was really oppressive for me. I was just like, I would never assemble that. It looks too commercial. But I wanted the invite because I wanted to think about David. And they invited me to go into the archives and look at the work that was going to be shown. And so I'm in there and I'm flipping through his work, his photographs. And I got like just so deeply sad, you know. There's a happiness in knowing that his work is cared for,
Right.
and that I get to see it, and that future generations of people get to see it. But to look at all this work that was dealing with the anxieties of existing in a world that offered him very little. The reason he's in this archive is because he's gone, you know?
Yeah.
It's not the only reason, but it's like a big part of that.
Yeah, Lower East Side died of AIDS. You know, it's a little bit like Marilyn Monroe became even more famous because she overdosed. You know,
Yeah,
that
and
kind
there
of
is
thing.
this whole trope for artists. I mean, speaking of value
Yeah.
systems that are corrupt, but like the post-mortem value of an artwork.
Right.
So it just rubbed up against a lot of things for me about, again, value and what we value and how we value it, and like why his life and his lifetime couldn't be valued in the way that his art can now be like very carefully handled in this museum setting. In my work, I just think that I do use levity as a tool for, I think,
A way in.
yeah, a way in, a kind of engagement that I want people to kind of be absorbed in and walk into work, especially when something is complicated or I'm not providing a really direct narrative about
Well,
something.
in this film, the levity, I think, is a cabinet of poisonous paints, right?
yeah,
I mean, that
yeah.
was astounding. The descriptions of the mercury-based, you know,
Yes,
people wore it on their skins. They were essentially poisoning themselves
totally.
for beauty or for yeah.
But it did follow a lot of the tools I use in other work, which is that I try to stay very open to what's going on around me and use that to help me
Yeah.
build a work. You know, and the pigment collection is this incredible, obscure and kind of beautiful thing that, and they have a specialist there whose whole job is to know about the pigments.
With an Australian accent and lots of passion about all the
Oh my
details.
God! I mean,
of,
I couldn't have cast somebody as good as him. I mean, he was incredible.
Right.
And I was like, can you give me a tour, a toxicity tour of the paints, of the pigments? You know, I am directing it to a certain degree, but it's also built on spending time in that place and observing what's going on and then realizing, okay, I want to tell a particular kind of narrative about art and art making.
I didn't look at your work in relation to dates and thinking, oh, we've gone into that, she's making this or whatever, but I'm wondering what you're thinking right now just in terms of the collective trauma that the culture has experienced, and I think it's ongoing, you know, it's not, obviously not, we're going to get through it by Christmas or something.
For me, there's a lot in the Negative Space Project that follows and points to this condition. Like, this isn't a surprise. It may be a fast forward or an exacerbated version of something we've been heading towards, but it's not, you know, it's been in the air, and it's like terrible and wonderful in the same breath that it asks us to address our lived experience differently and our relationship to other people differently and to the planet, for that matter. For some of us, things were able to slow down, and for others, it like way
Right.
ramped up.
Yeah.
Right, like on a first responder level, or
Yeah.
the guys at the grocery store, like whatever. How does that become something that everyone can participate in too?
Right.
Like, there's a certain privilege in making those choices to be engaged at this really high level.
A.K. Burns, winner of a 2021 Guggenheim Fellowship, is working on the last chapter of her film series, Negative Space, along with the Compendium catalog. The following conversation with Anki Shrestha took place in New York City on May 4th, 2021.
Ankit Shrestha is a Nepali musician living in Queens. He performs live in New York City subways and parks, doing plaintive cover versions of folk rock standards by Leonard Cohen and others. Meanwhile, he writes and plays his own songs in both English and his native language for an international audience. I want to ask you about Nepal. It's just, from my point of view, it's perhaps one of the most sort of mysterious and exotic sounding places on earth. Can you just give me a snapshot of what that's like?
Well, I mean, I grew up in the city,
Right.
in Kathmandu, so, and especially when I was growing up, we couldn't really get out of the city because there was kind of like a civil war going on, Maoist
Right.
and all that. So
Mhm.
I couldn't really travel a lot.
Foreign hippies come there to seek spiritual enlightenment. Is
Yeah, I
is that
think
something that
was
you
I
see
think-
catered to, like as tourists and things?
Sometimes, yeah, especially in like Tamil and Freak Street in New Road, there's a lot of tourists. I was actually watching a documentary and it was talking about that. And I was thinking like maybe if the hippies didn't come there, the music scene wouldn't be as it
Right.
is right now. And because Kathmandu is so much influenced by rock and roll and like all the 60s, 70s classic rock stuff. So I think that played a really important part.
That makes sense. I mean, it's there's a sort of esoteric, cosmopolitan, hippie music culture
Yeah.
that sort of planted the seeds for a lot of the culture itself.
Yeah, definitely.
You came to the U.S. though 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Yeah, maybe 7, 8 years.
And so that's where you've maybe discovered other kinds of music since being here.
I think when I was in Nepal, I was mostly listening to a lot of classic rock and like early 90s like grunge music and like early 2000s maybe punk rock and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And also Bob Dylan and like 60s kind of and Beatles and stuff, you know.
I didn't know how much exposure you would have to music in
Oh.
Nepal to begin with. I'm surprised, but not surprised, that there was this kind of culture of everything's so global now anyway. I mean, you can sort of download
Yeah.
music. You were in a heavy metal band,
I was in
right?
I was in a couple of metal bands. I
Right.
used to
Something
scream and all that
Spasm.
Yeah, Wings of Spasm.
Wings
that
of
was the first
Spasm.
band, and
Right.
Plan Aftermath,
Right, right.
the second band. Yeah, it was fun then, you know, because I was like a teenager
Yeah.
and a group of friends, and we wanted to just be
Rock out.
rebels, I guess.
You do a lot of busking in the New York subway, and you
Yeah.
like doing that.
तिमीलाई कोही केको चिन्ता छ र
But it's a stage, right? I mean, it's a place to perform with an
Yeah.
audience.
So I started busking in 2013 when I moved to the US. My first summer, I went to Ocean City, Maryland, and I went there to work, and I saw this guy performing on the street, and I thought it was cool, you know. So I wanted to try it out. So I bought an amp and a mic, and I started playing. And it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
People really appreciated what I was doing. So I thought, wow, I could just play music and earn a living doing that.
Yeah.
I did that for 5 years. Every summer when I was in college, I went to Ocean City to play music.
I imagine the audience in New York City is a little different.
Oh
right?
yeah, so much different in New York
Is it
City.
intimidating? I mean, it seems like you get a good reception, right?
Yeah, I came to New York in 2017 when I graduated school, and actually I met this busker in Ocean City. He was from New York City, and he used to come to Ocean City for a few weeks every year, and I
Right.
met him there, and we talked about, and he told me all about New York's busking community and that kind of. So
Do you have like territory?
some people do, yeah.
You have to try out though, right?
Well,
Or you have a permit?
it depends. So if you're playing in the mezzanine on like the kind of like famous spots like Herald Square or like Times Square and that kind of
Right.
mezzanine, there's Music Under New York who audition musicians, and if you get it, then they put like a schedule, and then for 3
Right.
hours, and then there's like a schedule
Right.
for that. But on the platforms, yeah, you don't really need a permit. People just come and play.
You have more freedom. You just sort of go when you want and
Yeah,
stay as long
yeah.
as you like. And
Yeah, I usually play in the platforms in the subway in the winter mostly, and during summer, spring, when it's nice out, I usually play in the parks. In the parks, I feel like I'm playing like a gig, you know? People sit there for hours listening.
I wonder if that sort of has sort of led you to evolve in certain ways as a musician.
Yeah, definitely. When I started busking, I didn't really sing, you know?
Right.
I learned how to sing and like my tone for the voice. it started evolving, and as I kept on doing it, I think I was evolving every year, you know, and my
Right.
voice was kind of changing. And whenever I did covers, I would try to sound like an artist that I was listening to at that time, and then slowly I evolved and found my own voice.
Walking by down this mountain, the strength of the turning tide.
It feels to me like your voice is original. I mean, it seems to me like what you're doing is completely natural, but like most things, you have to work to figure out what it can do. And,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's how most of the artists start, you know, by covering and just covering songs and trying to see what they are trying to do.
Right.
And you just take inspiration and your influences from different artists, and then you kind of
Right.
make your own sound.
In the moment that you wander far from me, I wanna feel you in my arms again.
But your cover of How Deep Is Your Love is so different.
That song, I never really get tired of playing that song because the chord progression in the song is so good, because the harmony is so good in that song, like
Right.
the chorus part.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out the harmony, and I couldn't figure it out for hours. And then I later found out it was not in like a major scale, it was in a different mode.
Right.
And I was like, oh, that's why it sounds so kind of, you know, different, 3-part harmony.
In the world of fools, when breaking us down, when they all should let us be.
You play the guitar in a very unique way where you put it on your lap and you actually use it as a drum as
Yeah.
well as strum. Is that common? Where did you learn to do that?
No, keep in mind, say,
First time I saw someone do that was this artist called Eric Mongrain. He does that, and he's really good. Like, and I tried to do it, but I couldn't figure it out. I was in Nepal actually when I saw that video, and a couple of years later I came to the US, and I started seeing other people doing that as well, like Ben Howard. He's and I think John Smith and artists like that. And then I started playing the guitar in different tunings. There's so much you can do with open tunings, and also the lap tapping thing. If you have like an open tuning, it's so much easier to play the percussive stuff and the melodies and stuff like that. So I would always try to find something different, you know. Actually wrote the song, Underwater song, which was basically me trying to learn how to do that. And
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're leading to my next question, which is you're writing songs in English and Nepali.
Yeah.
You kind of have two audiences, maybe. I mean, one here in person, and then a kind of a global Nepali community where you are fairly popular, from what I can tell online with videos and such, followers.
underwater, look for the answers.
I wanted to reach a global audience, you know. When I was starting out, I always wanted to write in English, and I was listening to a lot of Western music then. And later, as I was evolving as an artist, I started listening to other Nepali artists as well after I came to the US, and then I was like, oh, maybe I should write in Nepali. And the first song that I wrote in Nepali was Katha, which was for my grandmom. She passed away that year.
I've seen you play that, and you almost, going back to the use of the guitar, where you almost like breathe into.
I wanted to experiment with the loop pedal, kind of incorporate that into one of my songs, and I was kind of experimenting and figured, like, you know, maybe I could just loop and stuff and sing in the guitar, what do you call the pickup.
I mean, it has a stage quality to it. It's so maternal. I mean, there's something about it which is like the body of somebody. The guitar really becomes like a body when you see somebody doing that. You have this new video, a song. I don't know the name in Nepali, but it means something like souls, right?
Oh yeah, Anaginti Atma. Anaginti means uncountable, and Atma is souls. The song is basically about when I was moving to the city in 2017, and I had this vision since when I was writing that song about being about the city and showing the different parts of the city.
Atma.
Are you working on anything new album or project?
Well, actually, I am. So this past year, during the pandemic and like COVID, last year I've been releasing a lot of Nepali singles and putting up some videos. And right now I'm working on more English songs, and almost 3 of them are ready, and I'm working on a couple more. I wanted to always make a vinyl. And I'm thinking about putting all the songs that I released this year and putting it in a vinyl, and just when I'm busking, maybe people would like to take some. And
no, you seem to be really interested in sort of the old forms, right?
Yeah.
Busking and vinyl. I mean, it's a different aesthetic, right? I mean, it's a
exactly. It's so much. I don't know. It's different. Just carrying something, you can just hold it.
Because we're losing so much of that with digital. I mean, everything's just kind of in the air.
Like when I'm busking too, people. I used to sell CDs. People they want to take something with them, so they used to like buy my CDs and stuff.
Anki Shrestha's latest release, Anaginti Atma, may be found on YouTube and will appear on his new album coming out later this year.
Dimmi, vai, come che como